Well, I believe that this is the most playoff rematches ever scheduled in NFL history, 14 of them. So, when you talk about revenge, we can dabble into stuff like I have Panthers, maybe Colts at Panthers or Panthers at Colts. Obvious Frank Reich revenge spot, right? And my revenge games, all 10 of them, none of them are divisional. Because, you can't have like Steelers and Ravens. That's always revenge or whatever. Bengals and Browns, et cetera, et cetera. Eagles, Chiefs. I was asked on HQ, like, what's the best possible Super Bowl matchup out there in terms of the games that are being played? That's the one. Yeah. There are no questions about either of these teams. And I know that we never see Super Bowl rematches, but that's going to be a big revenge game where the Eagles want revenge against the Chiefs for beating them in the Super Bowl. The Eagles have a lot of their pieces back. It's a Monday Night Football game. That the ratings are going to be, what was the word I almost got in trouble for saying? Botho, when I froze up a few months ago. And you might not have been here, Katie. I said Botho, and it was like Botho, and I turned into a robot because my internet glitched.
Do we have a clip of that?
I'm sure somewhere. But yeah, like the ratings are going to be insane for Eagles at Chiefs. And frankly, when I started doing these revenge games, because of all the playoff rematches, it was insane how many Chiefs games were involved. But that's just sort of like when you win the title, you beat a bunch of people and they want to get revenge on you. The Bengals are on there, of course. But man, how can this not be number one? Eagles at Chiefs, the Super Bowl rematch. They could have done it in week 1. They've done that before. The NFL schedule makers have. I think they like the idea of having a NFC matchup early in the season with the Lions at the Chiefs. That's going to draw tons of eyeballs. People are intrigued by the Lions. And then you can sort of save this for later. And we've seen over the past few years that, quite frankly, sometimes ESPN gets a little banged on these matchups for Monday Night Football. They're putting this on ABC at the Manning cast, et cetera, et cetera. They're making sure that they got a really, really, really big time matchup here. This is the easy Breech number 1 revenge game for me.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles want the friend for the Super Bowl, like you said. Obviously, the Andy Reid factor, beating his old team. Just right. Keep beating them down. Keep beating them down. I already took a Super Bowl from you. I don't think the Eagles have ever beaten Andy Reid's Chiefs. So he just wants to he never wants to lose that team just so he can laugh at Jeffrey Lurie whenever they run into each other. So I'm sure he does like that.
And the Eagles, let's not forget the Eagles beat when Andy and the Eagles divorced, the Eagles beat him to a Super Bowl. And then he got one right after. So
right.
He's, yeah.
And it is interesting that this game wasn't put in week 1. I feel like the NFL's changed their philosophy about the kickoff game because they usually put, hey, let's make this game as huge as possible. And we're talking, they put the Bills in the game against the Rams last season. 2 years ago, they put the Cowboys in the game, America's team. The Cowboys are automatic TV draw. You want TV numbers when you put the Cowboys in the game against Tom Brady, which is what they did 2 years ago. But now it's like they were thinking, you know what? We don't need to waste Eagles Chiefs or Bengals Chiefs or Bills Chiefs in this week 1 slot. It's automatic viewership no matter who we have there. It's going to get 30 million viewers. So let's just throw in the Lions. Everybody's going to watch because of Patrick Mahomes. And then we can put those bigger games with Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia later on the schedule. And this one is November 20th, which is a good spot.
Well, I was going to say too, like, I mean, we all think the Lions will be good. Nobody's downplaying the Lions. The Lions could stink. Like, there's no guarantee the Lions are good. The Lions didn't make the playoffs last year, and everybody's all over the Lions already. Getting the Lions out there in week 1 when they're this frisky team that people are interested in, and it's a non-conference game, it's a really smart move, in my opinion, by the NFL. To Breech's point, people are going to watch. You got a game of interest, and you can save these other big matchups for later.
You could tell that Billy is running the chat here because all of the pro Eagles comments
It's
on the main screen here. Early lean for this game, though. Obviously, we got to see how the season goes. But when you look at what both teams have done in the offseason so far, Brinson, Chiefs or Eagles?
Oh, Chiefs. I mean, Breech noted it. Andy Reid owns the Eagles. Like, did the Eagles win the Super Bowl last year?
right,
And I'll throw in
Breech,
a fun
obviously, you're
fact. This is the
Mhm.
9th time that there's been a Super Bowl rematch the following season from the prior season. And the team that won the Super Bowl is 6-2 when there is a rematch the following season.